Fired up, man. We got another GM All Access powered by Teamworks here. This time talking about Texas, man. Brandon Harris is the GM out there, and I think it's very, very easy when you are breaking down Texas from a roster construction side, from a recruiting side, from a portal side, and be pretty lazy with how we assess them. Pretty easy to just say, you know what, got pretty good NIL resources, right? They got some pretty good brand power, right? Texas, GM, Schmeam, they're probably pretty good. They probably just have guys come to them. Y'all, Brandon Harris, I'm just saying, I think he does some work on the recruiting trail. So, really quickly before we get to the rest of the segment, got to let y'all know, man, a little quick helmet change. If you watch this show, you know it. You love it. GM All Access. Put her there, man. Powered by Teamworks. All right? So, win the revenue sharing era with Teamworks General Manager, purpose-built for collegiate athletics, trusted by 99% of D1 NCAA institutions. Teamworks is uniquely designed by those who understand the challenges of college athletics, strategically allocate resources, optimize investments, evaluate your roster, and build championship caliber teams all on one integrated platform. Check out teamworks.com/general-manager to learn more. General-manager at Texas, again, Brandon Harris. So what I was saying was, when you break down Texas, it's easy to just say, oh, the logo, oh, the money. You know, in tier one of college football, don't most teams have a great logo and great resources? Doesn't the Oregon logo hold some weight? Phil Knight money probably pretty good. Ohio State, same deal. We talk about the $20 million roster. That logo speaks for itself. Texas had the number one ranked recruiting class this past cycle. Why? I think in some ways you credit the relational skill set of Brandon Harris. I think you do credit Steve Sarkisian the proof of concept. But to me, when we talk about tier one in college football, it's kind of like deciding where you want to go for your birthday dinner. I can get a good steak anywhere, dude. I can go a lot of different places, get a good vibe, get a great steak, and be in great shape there. So what makes the difference for you? How do you feel? What's the feeling you get when you walk in that place? How's the service? How's the interaction with the people? I think that's Brandon Harris, dude. What I've been told is the dude just straight up wins when it comes to relationships. Personable. When they get on campus, they being recruits, that's when Texas is like, okay, we got him where we want him. Okay, now we can really take it to the next level. Because you know what Texas is, man. You know the proof of concept with the NFL draft picks at this point recently. You know the college football playoff credentials. You know the momentum on the field and all those things and what they're going to be here under Steve Sarkisian. You know all that. But when you look at what Texas is as a recruiting machine, what separates them from what I can gather from what I've heard is Brandon Harris with the relational side. But also now, in addition to that, Brandon Harris as a GM has a somewhat unique background in the sense that he was actually, before he was a GM, he was a college football player not that long ago. Like, Brandon Harris was a top 5 quarterback recruit. Brandon Harris also, throughout the course of his career, transferred from LSU to North Carolina. So all that's to say, he's able to relate to these players on a different level. Like when Brandon Harris talks about the transfer portal and why guys leave different schools, or if he's talking to a recruit that's in the transfer portal and says, hey, here's why you could come to Texas and have success. I've been there. I've done that. I know what it's like to have a tough decision to make. He's not just, saying that as lip service. It's not fake with Brandon Harris. And I think in modern college football, it has never been more obvious for players and families and everyone involved to be able to spot fake from a mile away because there's so much of it. That's why Brandon Harris is successful. He's not fake. He's real. What you see is what you get. And you pair all that with what Texas has, that you kind of stereotypically throw their way with the power, the resources, all those things. That's where things really start to separate for Texas. That's why they end up having the number one class in college football on the recruiting trail this past cycle. Does money have a good amount to do with it? I'm sure it does. But it also has a good amount to do with it with every single high-profile recruitment. So Brandon Harris, absolute stud for Texas, continuing to be a stud, and Texas, surprise, surprise, killing it on the recruiting trail. And you feel good about yourself for the future on the recruiting trail because of who's in charge of the GM spot, and Brandon Harris in charge of things at Texas, and future is bright out there on the 40 acres.